Welcome back, everyone, for more RimWorld defenses. A few months ago, I put out best killboxes for mid-game with this thumbnail. Don't use this. And oh boy, did I get some reactions. Not only did I get a ton of views, which is incredible, but as you can see, there were a lot of comments, a lot of folks telling me that it was great and very useful, and a lot of folks with suggestions on how to improve my defenses in RimWorld. Today I'm going to spend some time testing some of the suggestions. I also have a couple of new killbox designs that I'm going to try out as well. As you can see, once again, we're in a pretty small colony. We have 3 melee fighters, 2 throwbow horns, 1 longsword, all wearing flak jackets. We also have a person that's not very good at fighting, so we have them with an EMP. We have 5 shooters, most of which are okay mid-range shooters. 1 who's not really that great has a machine pistol. We have an assault rifle, 1 chain shotgun, and 2 bolt action rifles. I'm very much so picking weaponry that indicates that we haven't really established the colony, haven't gotten that far along. This first kill box is one that I'm trying as an upgrade of the quote-unquote traditional kill box. I'm doing it with 2 melee boxes for our melee pawns to stand in, as well as the EMP shooter to stand in. The traps are obviously doing a lot of work. I tried putting chunks in, but doesn't appear to be slowing anyone down. That was one of the comment suggestions. Maybe it's because this raid is filled with Itakin, who I believe have a speed boost when naked. Bree, our EMPer, is going to have to try to do a little bit of back and forth to EMP. I don't know how well that's going to work. Our melee fighters have a lot of folks to fight, and it should be noted that there is a rocket launcher somewhere in this group. Someone is holding a rocket launcher. They also have some pretty decent weaponry. There's obviously more of them with approximately 30 Itakins and some pretty good armor. Obviously, they go after our turrets pretty much first. This line at the end with the sandbags and the walls doesn't prevent them from walking around, so we have one shooting behind us. Our melee fighters are all down. They were not able to fight against that large group of Itakin. And as you can see, this is not going well for the colony. The colony is not going to be able to handle a raid of this size and strength with a traditional kill box. Note that I did put a little hospital near the kill box. That's really nice. So as you can see, we were completely overwhelmed by this raid of this size. Yeah, didn't go well. Didn't go well for us. Oh, I'm dead. Awesome, my head got blown off. Perfect. Next, we have a suggestion to use coolers to turn my column hallway into a freezer and try to freeze them, get them some hypothermia. Wasn't successful getting anyone hypothermia. Not sure if that's because they're Itakins, and also because of the coolers, they do appear to be stopping and hitting the coolers. I did put some traps at the front of the column hallway, which my previous column hallway did not have. When the raiders are spread out, we do a really good job with keeping up with them. But as soon as they get to the front, they're no longer really... There's a little bit of single filing, but they actually kind of appear to be pushing forward. And I do not know if this was something that was updated with 1.4, but in 1.4, my column hallway does not appear to be doing as well. Here's a rocket launcher right behind us, so that's probably going to take out the rest of the colony. I did have a turret by the entrance. Was suggested by a lot of folks. Doesn't seem to have helped as we were not able to take on this raid with the column hallway. Now we're attempting to do it with attack rhinos. Attack rhinos very specifically was in the comment section. Now I forgot to close the door. So they're going through the column hallway again. The ones that did go through the spike traps did go down. So let's bring the attack rhinos out to fight the ones that got through the column hallway. And we're actually just gonna like hide back here. I realized that I forgot to hit attack for the animals. So they started following Yed. Perfect. Go ahead and attack the raiders. Now we're completely safe. We're just hiding back here. See what the rhinos can do without us. They are taking damage. We do have some turrets in our fields. So that's also causing some distractions for the raiders. The noises with the rhinos. Ugh. So the rhinos were able to take them out. We, of course, didn't take any damage, but the rhinos did take some. Although in this case, they look pretty good. They don't appear to be dying. Looks like we have some armor we could reclaim if we strip them. And of course, you just want to make sure that you do tend them. One of them bonded with Yed and is now named Casino. Should also be noted that rhinos are not the easiest to keep trained. You need someone who's at least a level 10 skill, if I recall correctly. And you're going to need a ton of food. In this case, we are combining my suggested defenses from the best kill boxes for mid-game video. So the corner killer is the start with a trap hallway after that. And then lastly, they will go through the column hallway. You probably want to make sure that you don't have trees in the spots where you're going to be melee attacking. And of course, as always, make sure that you have someone open the correct door. Generally, I would recommend leaving the doors open into your base, only closing them when you have a manhunter or choosing to use a different defense. In this case, because I'm doing a staging raid, just like my last video, I'm opening the doors for each kill box between the staging and the assault on the colony. They are now beginning their assault. We have 6 folks in the front ready to do melee attack. Now note, this colony only had 3 good melee fighters. 3 of these folks are not good at melee, but they have some steel maces and they can do a little bit of jabbing through the walls here. So this one is really cool, and I do like the idea of starting here and then moving over to the end of the columns. One of my biggest concerns was having enough time, and the trap maze could always be extended to be much longer, even if you don't fill it with that many more traps, to hopefully slow them down and cause them to take longer to get to the columns. Again, the Itakins seem to move pretty quickly, so I want to be careful to make sure to move my shooters back when the time comes. I was thinking about moving Emo, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer, as there's only 2 that have made it through the corner killer. We still have a ton of meleeing to do. We do have 3 colonists ready to shoot for these initial raiders that are getting through. And as you can see, we're getting tons of hits on them with the melee, with the corner killer. Now, I know there's some cheese here for sure, but it's, you know, your own preference. How do you want to play? Do you want to play with this corner killer and the column hallway? Or do you want to play with possibly a lower difficulty because you're having trouble staying alive? That's kind of the question. And these traps are all made with wood. In this biome in particular, we have pretty much an infinite supply of wood. So they're not as good in terms of the hit points, the attack damage, sorry. But they will do some damage, and because they're a more renewable resource for me, I made the traps out of wood. That was also something we discussed in the comment section quite a bit from my other video. So MJ, I'm gonna have you move forward, and I'm gonna have Darl join Ilana Pawn over to do some meleeing. Okay, Bree, you stay because you're not as good, and MJ, go help hold the choke point at the end of the column hallway. And actually, this is pretty great because all the other ones have been taken down, and all of these colonists are here now by the time the larger group is approaching. That's kind of incredible. So one thing you'll note is only the folks in the middle are shooting. That, I believe, has been changed. The column hallway in the past, I was able to shoot from further from the sides. Maybe it's just when they get closer. I noticed one of our turrets is shooting us, so turn on, hold fire. And they're fleeing. That's awesome. So this worked really well. Now, we did take a little bit of damage with Jay. I'm gonna guess that Jay's damage is from the turret. Yep. Amazing. Friendly fire was the only damage taken. This case, I'm doing a little bit of a water kill box. So water slows down movement speed, which gives you more opportunities to shoot as they're approaching. The only thing in using this watered area to create a kill box is that so much of the wall had to be wood because in order to be supported by a bridge, it has to be lighter weight, whereas the rest of the walls are granite. We do have the autocannons. We have 6 of them. And unfortunately, the anima tree happened to be here. Probably not a good idea to have the anima tree in an actual playthrough, like in your kill box, for risk that it takes damage. So they're moving very slowly, and of course, they're targeting the turrets. They want to attack the turrets. The turrets are doing awesome work, taking out the first one with ease. This next one has marine armor, so they're taking a little bit longer. Was that the rocket? Yeah, okay. So the rocket launcher did cause the turrets to eventually explode, which honestly makes sense. I'm just double checking that it was in fact the rocket launcher. Yeah, it was. So surviving a raid with a rocket launcher is always a win. I would say having 2 turrets go down to a rocket launcher is not that bad. The one other thing you could look at is maybe you should have, instead of 3 auto turrets down in the corner and 3 up at the top, maybe you could use slug turrets for their longer range and keep them all down at the bottom. So the raiders would have to pass your colonists before they could get to the turrets. That's an idea. Once again, they're fleeing. We did take more damage this time than the combination kill box, but we're, you know, everyone in the colony is able to walk away from this, which I think is saying something. Also, we might be getting some friendly fire as they, yep, these turrets might be friendly firing a little bit. Okay, MJ did go down, but MJ will be able to be rescued. Only, yeah, MJ just needs tending. They'll be fine. And it looks like there are some raiders who are downed who have things like armor. So you could go ahead and strip, and then you could reclaim some of their clothing for your own. And of course, because these outer walls were made with wood, the raiders did light them on fire, and they will do that, so you'll have to continuously repair it. So now we're trying 2 choke points. The first choke point is basically the same choke point I used before, but with some blocking walls to prevent shooters from shooting you until they're right in front of your colonists. This was a shortfall of the prior design, the 3x3 box. Now, this is a much heavier raid than what I did in the other video. There was some criticism of that as well. Some folks thought that the raid was too easy given the size of the colony. It is a dev mode colony, so that is possible, but I wanted to make sure that we took on a pretty beefy raid this time. We're doing okay, but emo did go down, which means there's someone inside our choke point, which is not good. MJ's also down. Now, Ilana's down and Darl's down. Now we have no more melee fighters standing. A lot of the colonists are down. Honestly, Yed, Sparrow, and Bree might just need to run at this point. Yeah, this is not good enough for a raid of this size. The choke points are nice very early on, but this is a pretty sizable raid, especially for the size of this colony. Remember, we're talking about small colonies. Normally, by mid-game, most of my colonies are a lot bigger than this, but I wanted to try seeing what defenses help a smaller colony survive. This choke point was suggested, I think. I had a little trouble understanding what the person was saying, but I believe this is what they were saying, which is essentially a choke point, but using fences to slow them down and spread them out, and of course, preventing anyone from being able to shoot by going around the corners. They are using War Call, but it's not going to be effective because the animal's on the outside of our walls. Our choke point is not really held anymore. Yeah, Darl went down. MJ's off to the side. The Itakin are very strong. They have strong melee damage. They're pretty big and tough, and if I had done this same raid with like tribals, probably all of these defenses would be successful. But I think it's a much better test to see a hard raid that's we're outnumbered and outgunned, and see what defense systems would help us stay alive in that case. Yep, Meg's dead. Bunch of colonists are downed, and they're war calling again. Okay, and we're just running away at this point. We're done. Not a good one. Not a good one. The suggestion was to drop a roof on your raiders. Problem with that is it dropped, but it only dropped on the first raider. So now we have to fight all the rest of them standard style in not a proper defense setup, basically with just a choke point at the end. Doesn't go well for us. Does not go well for us. For this one, we're trying the oven. I've never done this before. Suggested was 2 doors. I don't know how you close the other door, but I figured let's get them in here and have them hit some incendiary traps, and we'll try closing this door once it's fired up in there. It's the only door into the base right now, so they should, in theory, be suggested to walk through it. I closed the door, they started wandering out, looking for another way to get in. Tried opening the door again. Our colonists are being burned by superheated air, so it's definitely very hot in there, but the raiders do not appear to want to go through it. Now, the fire did cause a lot of damage, but some of them are starting to wander other parts of the base, probably to knock down walls. The rhinoceroses are losing skill attack. Perfect. It's a little bit of mayhem. Not very effective. Now, this is pretty much a traditional kill box. I'm not sure what the suggestion was here, but we were told, I was told spikes and sandbags. Once again, doesn't look like it's slowing them down any more than just going through the trap hallway would. Now, at first, it's going okay. We're taking out the raiders as they're approaching. And then they start to get a lot closer. And once again, in traditional kill box form, Our melee pawns are in the front, but they're not really able to team up like a choke point. The turrets are doing some work for sure, but they're also getting shot at. And because of the proximity with us and how close we are to the turrets, if any of these turrets do explode, it could be bad. We're definitely being overwhelmed here by the raiders. We're putting in some good damage, but we have several colonists down now. Bree is dead. Yeah. There's only 4 colonists standing in this kill box right now. The 5th one is not. And there's the rocket launcher taking out all of those turrets. So very expensive kill box that was not successful. I wanted to try another attempt with the rhinos. One actually using where I intended them to be. So there's a trap hallway with chunks, of course, and then our colonists are here, but so are the rhinos. And I don't want to... I'm worried about friendly firing our rhinos a bit here. So I think maybe we should actually pull back the colonists. How about you go over here, colonists, where you can kind of group up. There was the rocket launcher, immediately took out 1 colonist and took down 4 others. We could have done better cover for these attack rhinos, for our colonists to stand behind these attack rhinos. But this is, yeah, this is not going well. Everyone's down, and the rhinos are also in pretty bad shape. Let's try again. Since I didn't set a cover up for this one, let's try one more where we're just inside the rhino's barn. I'm gonna set the rhinos to attack. So they will go out and seek out. All of them? Hello? Why are some of them not going out? Maybe if I bring Yed closer to the front. There we go. Animal handler had to see more of the raiders, maybe. Now, we are inside. The rhinos are specifically attacking. No longer incapable of walking. So one of them, a couple of them have already gone down. There's the rocket launcher. So every time that rocket launcher goes off, it does cause significant damage. This time it took out 3 of the rhinos. Like I said, that's just kind of a part of dealing with a raid with a rocket launcher. Some of these other rhinos that are down, you can definitely try to put out the fire and tend them, but it's expensive to have rhinos. For me personally, I think the most successful one was combining my 3 suggestions from the prior video: the corner killer, the column hallway, and the trap maze. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know your favorite defenses in the comments section. Have a good one, everyone. See you next time.